Out of the husk of history's pain, our ancestors bled and died. But with strength and willpower we overcame to restore the Virgin Islands' pride. To preserve the beauty we devised a plan to obtain ownership of your precious lands. Educating your people is the golden key to maintain the success of this territory. Oh, how radiant are your daughters, and how wealthy are your sons. Your beaches boast your beauty, and your success is second to none. Green and brilliant are your hillsides, they replenish your hopes and pride. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. May God richly bless this territory. May we ask three things of thee: courage for our great leaders, that they may rule our destiny. We ask for wisdom for our people, that they may live in harmony, and understanding for our children, that they may cherish this legacy. Oh, how radiant are your daughters, and how wealthy are your sons. Your beaches boast your beauty, and your success is second to none. Green and brilliant are your hillsides, they replenish our hopes and pride. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied.
Let us pray. Gracious Lord, our Heavenly Father, we gather on Salt Island today to give you thanks for our territory and our heritage, and to express our loyalty to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. As we reflect on your mercies and grace bestowed on our ancestors and ourselves, we are mindful of the significance of the salt from these ponds here on Salt Island in the lives of Virgin Islanders, past and present. The salt as an export to other countries was a source of income, a preservative of our food when we had no refrigeration, a condiment in our daily diet, and several medicinal uses. We are reminded also of the allegiance of our ancestors to the crown and the pride with which they collected the portion of the harvest which was due to the crown. We also remember the social relationships which have developed with Virgin Islanders across the territory and the wider world on those days when citizens reaped the salt with joy. Today, we enact the breaking of the salt pond, as it was fondly referred to, and in doing so, we acknowledge your faithfulness to us through many generations. We thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed on Her Majesty throughout her life, and especially her historic reign. We thank you for her representative, Mr. John S. Duncan, our territorial government, our premier, and other representatives, all civil servants, public servants, all the people of the Virgin Islands, and the tranquility and beauty of the territory. We seek your continued mercy and grace as we continue to preserve our natural heritage in an environment of global warming and its effect on life. We seek your protection in this age of radicalization and accompanying terrorist activities. We seek your guidance in an uncertain economic future and all the unforeseen challenges ahead, so that the future generations may enjoy the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Today, we will enjoy this episode as we explore this island. Bless this ceremony, the organizers, the visitors to Salt Island, and may we all have a memorable time in your name, we pray. Amen.
His Excellency Governor John Duncan, Mr. John Duncan, Premier Dr. the Honorable D. Orlando Smith, Deputy Governor Mrs. V. Ines Archibald, CBE, Representative for the 2nd Electoral District, Honorable Melvin Turnbull, Representative at Large and Junior Minister for Tourism, Honorable Archibald Christian, Honorable Barbara Aziz, Attorney General, Director of Tourism, Mrs. Sharon Flax Mars, Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Sandra Ward, Permanent Secretary in the Deputy Governor's Office, Mr. Archer. Why do I forget your name right now, Mr. Archer? Members of the press, descendants of Salt Island, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is my island. Why am I nervous? Today is a red letter day in the Virgin Islands, in particular here on Salt Island. Today, we jumpstart the activities to celebrate the 90th birthday of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a significant milestone in her life. This activity, as we heard in the prayer by Dr. Wheatley this morning, is a reenactment of the salt breaking and gifting ceremony. This activity is also significant and fitting to kickstart the celebrations. In the remarks today, you will hear much about the history and the tradition of the salt breaking ceremony and what a special festival or festive time it was. I would like to, however, emphasize again that today's ceremony with the gun salute and the presentation of a portion of salt is as part of the reenactment. The traditional ceremony took place at the time when the country was governed under a different constitution. We have had several constitutional reforms over the years, which resulted in our new constitution. Therefore, we would not necessarily see this official ceremony taking place. It's simply a reenactment. This reenactment and those to be held in the future are opportunities, of course, to preserve and safeguard this tradition for generations to come. So with that said, I'll introduce myself. I know I'm no stranger to you, but I am Luce Hodge Smith, the Director of Culture and a descendant of Salt Island. So with that said, I extend a hearty welcome to each and every one. Thank you all for attending this ceremony today. We now go into the program and we call on His Excellency the Governor, Mr. John S. Duncan, OBE, to give his remarks. Please welcome him.
Island. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. That's good. It gives me great pleasure to be able to make some very brief introductory remarks this morning at our ceremony, our reenactment today. The story of Salt Island and the people who lived here over many years, their response to the tragedy of the sinking of the Royal Mail ship Rhone 150 years ago, is, to my mind, a symbol of the value of the indigenous people of the Virgin Islands community. Resourcefulness and self-reliance, a spirit of community, entrepreneurship and hard work, hospitality and care for others, integrity and common decency. In the space of 2 generations, the community of the Virgin Islands has seen the population increase 4-fold. You have enjoyed unparalleled economic development and moved from being governed by an administrator to full-blown ministerial government under an elected premier, cabinet, and governor. Given the pace of these huge changes, it is particularly important to remember the heritage that shaped those core values, because that helps to understand what it means to be a Virgin Islander, both for the community itself and for those who want to be part of this community, those who have chosen to move to the BVI, to make their home, to live and to work here. It's been a particular pleasure for me as your governor and the representative of Her Majesty the Queen, Elizabeth, in Virgin Islands, to be part of the effort to revive this unique ceremony, rooted in your oral history, and which tells the story of the BVI's unique link with the monarchy, and how the compassion and integrity of your forefathers and mothers in their response to the poor souls who were victims of the RMS Rhone tragedy so moved Her Majesty Queen Victoria that she transferred the ownership of Salt Island to its inhabitants. Last year, it was my great pleasure to present Her Majesty with the symbolic annual rent of £1 of Salt Island salt, together with my apologies for being a bit late in our rent. Her Majesty was gracious enough to confirm that we might renew this symbolic gift on an annual basis. And you will recall that last year we asked Calvin Smith, a descendant of the original Salt Island community, to harvest the salt. We asked one of our talented local artists, Lethelma Thomas, to produce the splendid silk-screened bag in which the salt was contained. This year, Calvin was kind enough to harvest the salt again, and it will be shortly formally handed over to the Honourable Premier by Miss Elsini Durant, another descendant of the Salt Island family. And this year, we have asked another renowned artist from the Virgin Islands, Mr. Aragon Dick Reed, to manufacture the pouch to contain the salt. And I think he's over there. Wave. A round of applause, please, for Mr. Dick Reed. This year, and it is truly splendid, you will see, this year the colour is purple in recognition of the fact that 2016 is the 90th birthday of our Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. The screen print that Aragon Dick Reed has produced and forms a four-piece is taken from a photograph of one of the islanders, indeed the grandmother of someone in my office, harvesting salt. You will also see other signs of the Virgin Islands heritage, including the traditional Virgin Islands sloop, in which the Premier and I have our annual sailing race, and which you will all note, so far the Premier is well ahead of the Governor in securing wins. More on that later. You will also see in the print local houses, our pristine beaches, and our wonderful bird life. A heritage ceremony, even if it is a reenactment such as this, should be inclusive and allow different members of the community to contribute. While I think it is fitting for the descendants of the families of Salt Islands to decide amongst themselves who should have the honour of harvesting and handing over the salt for this symbolic gift, I would like to take this opportunity to suggest that, given that next year will be the 150th anniversary of the RMS Rhone sinking, that the Honourable Premier, and perhaps the Minister of Culture, who is not with us, consider organising a competition amongst our many talented artists for the design of the pouch which will be sent to Her Majesty on her birthday next year. While Her Majesty Queen Victoria may have shown considerable generosity over Crown land, it does have to be mentioned that the government of the time, never at a loss to find ways of increasing revenue, decided to keep the salt ponds for themselves. And according to the documents I have seen, under the 1904 Government Salt Pond Ordinance, the government charged a tax of 30%, or one bag in three, to those who harvested the salt, which does seem a bit severe. However, I will bow to the advice of the Honourable Attorney General and the Financial Secretary as to whether the 1904 Ordinance is still in force. Tax issues aside, I was very pleased a few weeks ago to join the Premier in welcoming the innovation and entrepreneurship of the descendants of the original Salt Islands, namely someone who I notice is with us today, Alex Durant, who, as you all know, was voted BVI Businesswoman of the Year for a range of products, including many that make use of the exceptionally fine quality salt that is produced in the ponds just over there. So I think a round of applause again for Alex Durant, showing that entrepreneurship of what Salt Island families are famed and renowned. And that brings us to today's reenactment ceremony. It was the tradition over many years that the administrator and subsequently the governor would officiate over the formal opening of the ponds, known, as you heard, the salt breaking ceremony, including the starting gun volley by the Royal Virgin Islands Police. I would like to express my particular thanks to Mr. Vincent Wheatley, the Sister Islands Coordinator, for organising today's event. From our records, it appears this ceremony was not being performed since Governor Wallace's time, or in other words, some 40+ years ago. As I have said, the Virgin Islands people have travelled a huge distance over these 40 years, socially, economically, and politically. There is very much to be proud of in your accomplishments. In today's ceremony, the Premier, as the elected leader of the Virgin Islands people, will be the first to formally receive the gift to Her Majesty from the descendants of the Salt Island families, a symbolic gesture and a reflection of the long road the Virgin Islands has travelled. As the Virgin Islands continues to move forward, it will be important to remember the heritage of these islands and to protect the unique environment that has created such special places as we will be visiting today, and the one we are celebrating today. I'm particularly pleased that we have been able to revive this ceremony as an enactment for the beginning of the events in this special year, which will celebrate Her Majesty the Queen's 90th birthday and the 50th anniversary of her visit to the Virgin Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Now call on the Premier, Honorable Dr. Leo Lando Smith, to come and give his remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah. It's good to be here this morning. Just about 4 years ago, I traveled to London to take part in the celebration of the Queen's Jubilee. And it was, my wife and I went to that celebration. It was quite an event. We took part in the parade of 1,000 yachts on the river. We went to the St. Paul's Cathedral for the celebration, and also went to this concert by the Palace. And the concert was very, very good, and I had the opportunity to hear one of the female artists that I really do like. And it was the first time I heard her, so I was really pleased to be there for that event, right? So when the idea that the celebration of the 90th anniversary of the Queen, that we should have hold a celebration event, it was not difficult to me to go along with that suggestion. I've been taking part in that Jubilee and really appreciated it. And so there was a committee that was set up, headed by the Deputy Governor. As a result of this, which many activities were planned, including this activity on Salt Island. Just about 2 weeks ago, I was sailing past here, and I saw quite a number of yachts anchored in this bay. And it struck me that a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, so I would see nothing anchored in this bay, but things are changing for Salt Island. And of course, then the connection between the Wreck of the Rhone and Salt Island is gradually being more and more established. And as a result of that and other things, Salt Island is becoming a tourist destination. Has been for a long time as far as divers are concerned, but it's becoming even more so a tourist destination. And I can see the possibilities of Salt Island and what it can offer to visitors as they come to this little island. But I hadn't been on Salt Island for quite a few years. And I have been when there was an opening in the pond on a few occasions, and there's been a celebration. Our heritage, is tied to that of the United Kingdom. We are a territory. And in many other areas, the relationship between the United Kingdom and the BVI has served the BVI very well. If you remember, for example, our financial services or tourism, it is largely or partly because of relationship with the United Kingdom and the understanding that because of that relationship, we use the English law as a basis for our financial services industry, and there's this perception then by people who partake in our financial services industry and our tourism that this country, because relationship is steady, is secure, it's friendly, and and that stability has helped the growth of the British Virgin Islands. So for many reasons, it is important that we continue to appreciate the relationship between the British Virgin Islands and the United Kingdom government. And this celebration here, this gifting of salt, really needs to help to concrete that relationship. And for that, I'm of course quite happy to be a part of that. And I want to thank the governor for initiating it. The governor did mention in passing that we do have this little sailing competition. He's only been here for just 1 year, and just had one attempt to try to win that race. But I told him this morning that he's very active because he's been practicing, and he hopes to do better next year. But
Could do better.
but it comes natural to me, so that's a difference. Good. So once again, I'm very pleased to be here, and I look forward to receiving this bag of salt and giving it to the governor for him onward transmission to the Queen. Thank you.
The natural salt producing system on this island is so unique. I believe it is safe to repeat. And what you saw me talking to my cousin Lutai, and he was the one that shared this information with me, and he confirmed that Dr. Liana Jarecki, in her research, discovered that this salt pond and one other salt pond such as this in the world, there are only 2 of them in the world, this one and the one in Israel. There are many salt ponds around the world, but their system is different. Ours, if I'm saying it incorrectly, we can check with Lutai at the end. Basically, what it is the salt is produced from under the pond, and in other salt ponds, the salt is produced from the sun when it's dried. So that's why we actually have 2 salt ponds. There's this one, and then there's a little one over there, and they depend on each other. Without the little one, the big one dies because it filters through the small pond and then it comes back in again, and that's how the salt is produced. So just to know, and I will probably do some more research on it, but I trust the source that I have today. And you know, Liliana Jarecki, in order for her to do her thesis, she had to pass. And so the information is correct, but I'm sure we can research it some more, that these 2 salt ponds in the world remain these 2, and proudly to say our salt pond here on Salt Island is one of such 2 in the world. So just to say, yes, the 2 ponds depend heavily on each other to produce the salt. So I'd like to call now on the family to present our item, a song so appropriate for today, Land of Our Birth, We Pledge to Thee. So we'd like to call the descendants up to sing this beautiful item.
Teach us to bear the yoke in youth, with steadfastness and careful truth, that in our time thy grace may give, the truth whereby the nations live. Teach us to rule ourselves always, control and cleanly night and day, that we may bring, if need arise, no need or wordless sacrifice. Teach us to look in all our ends on thee for judge and not our friends, that we with thee may walk uncowed by fear of favor of the crowd. Teach us the strength that cannot see, by thee are taught to hurt the weak, that under thee we may possess man's strength to comfort man's distress. Teach us delight in simple things, and mirth that has no bitter springs, forgiveness free of evil done, and love to all men neath the sun. Land of a birth of faith abroad, for whose sake our fathers died. O motherland, we pledge to thee, head, heart, and hand through the years to be, to the years to be.
We're going to proceed with the item from the Willard Wheatley Primary School. Please give them a welcome, rounding welcome, please. Thanks. Okay, the significance of having the students from the Willard Wheatley School is that, as you know, the students from this island migrated to the eastern side of the island to attend school. Well, some did go to the west as well and in town, but quite a bit went to the schools in the eastern. Okay, we're going to now call on His Excellency the Governor to do the declaration of the opening of the pond, and then we'll have the gun salute by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force.
Honourable Premier, ladies and gentlemen, in the name of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, I declare these ponds open. God save the Queen. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Thank you.
Your Excellency the Governor, Honorable Premier, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Today we enact a long tradition that is at the heart of the Virgin Islands culture, the mining of the salt at Salt Island. The original ceremony, however, did not take place here, but further up along the pond at a place called Governor's Yard. After declaring the pond open, a shot was fired. Then persons present were allowed to reap the salt. This was a time when salt was king. The Virgin Islands have since advanced technologically and constitutionally. Today, in recognition of Her Majesty's 90th birthday and in honor of the oral tradition of Salt Island, we harvest salt and present as a gift to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Premier Honorable Dr. Orlando Smith, on behalf of the descendants of Salt Island, I humbly present this bag of salt to you, our gift for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on her 90th birthday, wishing her long life and good health.
Now I can do it. Go. Hold. Then this bag of salt you for understand permission to Her Majesty.
Honourable Premier,
People of Salt Island and the people.
Honourable Premier, it's my great pleasure to receive this bag of salt. It's a symbolic rent and a present to Her Majesty on her 90th birthday and the commencement of the events of celebration in the British Virgin Islands, and I will faithfully transmit it to Buckingham Palace. Thank you on behalf of Her Majesty to everybody.
I would like to pay a special recognition to Uncle Alvin, who's here, and he's one of the oldest descendants. We'd like to recognize Uncle Alvin Durant. He went inside? Oh, John is here. Oh, okay, good. Mr. John Leonard is here. He's one of the family members from Cooper Island. Thank you, John, for coming. So they love this island so much, they did all they could to protect it. I think you could call one of the relatives, I won't call his name, he used to have these binoculars. And whenever you come to the island, whether you're coming by boat and you come on the island, he will see you from a distance and he will know you're coming. They love the island so much. Today, my relatives and I are proud descendants of this heritage. Some are here today, some from Virgin Gorda, some from Anegada. Are those from Virgin Gorda here? Just like to quickly recognize them. And okay, over here, they probably still scattered. And then there's some from Anegada as well. And of course, we have those from Tortola, East, West, Central. My message, though, to my relative today is very brief, and it's to remind us that peace and harmony always prevails. So plans are afoot to continue to stage this reenactment, as we heard, and to turn it into an annual cultural event for everyone's enjoyment, in particular our visitors. Next year, as you heard from the governor, will mark the 150th anniversary of the Wreck of the Rhone, and plans should be made, and he mentioned earlier about forming a committee to celebrate this historical milestone in a significant way. So we're going to wrap up now. I'm going to call another descendant of Salt Island, Mr. Melvin Stout, to give us the vote of thanks, and followed Mr. Stout's vote of thanks, we'd like to invite you to partake in some refreshments. Thank you very much.
First, let me say thank you to His Excellency the Governor for holding this enactment this morning. You know, our committee last year decided that this year we were going to reintroduce the breaking of the salt pond. But our governor first me this time. Yeah, somebody leaked the secret out. So, Your Excellency, thank you very much. But next year, it's going to be an item on the tourist board calendar, and we are going to have a great celebration, just like our ancestors used to be in those days past. With all those sloops in the harbor. Well, we don't have sloop now because we lose that tradition. But we're going to have boats in the harbor, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and our foot, our pants, and we're going to go into the pond and going to reap salt. And thank you to our Premier, Dr. D. Orlando Smith. Thank you for your remarks this morning, sir. And to all the descendants that participated in the program this morning, our chairperson, Luz Hodge-Smith, a person who played the national anthem, Ian Smith, the person who sang the territorial song, Nakira Penn, and the invocation by Dr. Charles Whitley. And also, we thank the Willard Whitley Primary School, and also we have some youngsters from the Jos Van Dyke Primary School. We say thank you for coming. There are also some other person behind the scene, like the Public Works Department. They came across and they placed some new planks into the dock this week. The Solid Waste Department came and they assisted us in cleaning the beach. We say thanks to the Police Department, HLSCC College, the New Testament Church of God, and the Deputy Governor's Office, who had the steering committee for this program today. And to all the descendants of Salt Island who are here today, and to all other family, friends, and well-wishers, we thank you for coming, and we do hope that next year it will be a grand occasion for all of us. And don't forget that July 1 or July 1st is our Territory Day here in Salt Island, a grand day. So please put that on your calendar and come out and celebrate here with us on July 1st, 2016. Thank you very much.